Hello guys, how are you today? Um, okay, so this is a new tutorial about how to use shading and highlights with Procreate. I know I talked a little bit before on my last video, a little bit when I drew the clown ball balloon, but I want to go further in the subject, so that's why I decided to make another tutorial about it. So I hope you guys will be interested about. So okay, let's start, guys. So first of all, as we usually do to start, let's set up our Canva. So I know like a lot of you like ask me, but on which dimensions you draw. So I'm sorry I forget to tell you before. So about it, I usually draw on 3000 and 3000 pixels, but I think 2000 and 2000 pixels is completely fine. So this Canva dimension is about 3000. So I'm gonna change it into 2000. So for that, I'm gonna show you how to do it. So you go to Canvas section here on the top left, with crop and resize. You get into settings and see here you can see my actual canvas size. So I want to change it. For that, I'm gonna just tap in. Make sure that you stay in pixels. So I'm gonna write as I want 2000 by 2000. I'm gonna write it here by 2000 and see it changing the shape of it. About DPI, I usually stay on 300 DPI and I just click on done. Right, automatically just change it in the dimensions you set it up. Okay, so let's start, guys. Let's start drawing together. Let's having some fun. I hope you will enjoy this new tutorials. To start, we will start with a sketch. So I was thinking, so what I'm gonna draw today with you guys, let's draw a friendly looking snail, right? Let's draw something cute. So a snail. So for that, we are on our actual canvas, which is the sketch canvas. So sketch layer, and remember you can rename it if you want to. So for those one who didn't see my channel yet, who just begin on Procreate and want to know a few things about it, so you just type from your keyboard sketch layer, and like this you don't get confused and you know on which layer what it represents. So okay, let's start to draw our snail. So now what I'm going to start from is to do the eyes. So I want to draw two big eyes like this, some very like circular eyes, very cartoonish eyes, of course, as I like to do, something like that pretty much. And from the perspective, I'm not going to draw something like this, but it's kind of hidden a little bit the other side, so I kind of respect more or less the perspective. The pupils, I'm gonna place it here right in the center. I'm gonna drop, oops, not yet, but let's start to do something like that. It's very sketchy, but it really doesn't matter about it, as it's just a draft. Let's do the other pupils here. Now for the mouth, I'm gonna make something like curving like this. So I'm still drawing on the same layer, right, guys? So let's draw something like this. Let's start with a tooth, one tooth and a little one here. I don't know if you see it here, so let's make something like that underneath, some chicks, kind of almost like an egg shape. And I'm gonna trace like an arch to connect here on the side of the eyes. Right. So what I'm gonna do on the arrow, I'm just gonna scale down a little bit the design. Now I want to draw some, not eyebrow, but yes, kind of big, I don't know the word in English, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to try to draw those half circles here. Okay. And the top of the head, kind of like this. I won't say the ears, but yes, kind of. If you're struggling to do it, you just start tracing a circle and like the other curves like this. And the same for here. Not circle, but like oval, pretty much like an egg shape. Okay. So now let's draw the neck. For the neck, I want to do like, see, you curve like this. Don't hesitate every time to rotate your canvas because you have a better angle to draw it. So it definitely helps you to get the right flow, to get the right dynamic. So now let's draw the shell. So kind of right here like a circle, and kind of also curving like this, and follow along like a parallel lines here, exactly here. And for the texture, you can make some stuff like that. Right. Okay. And add a little bit more dimension. You can, it's up to you, but I guess you can do something like that, like this, and like that. Right. I think we are now missing some bottom part here, something like a bit like jelly. So what we're gonna do is make something like this on this look. Okay, and add some couple of dots. Yep. Cool. We can draw or add two little nose here. Oh, cute. What do you think, guys? Do you like it? A cute snail, cute funny snail, very cartoonish style. But I think it missed something a little bit. Maybe not adding background, but we can draw some grass here. So for the grass, we can do simply something. See, I do it again. We can do like something like that. Doesn't need to be perfect or so fancy. Yep. Okay. Cool. Right. Okay. So now we have our sketch down. Um, what we're gonna do next step, of course, is the inks. So for the inks, remember, before to start on the inks, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop down the opacity of the design. So you have different types. You have darken, you have color brown, but we stay on normal. Stay on normal, and you see the bar here, the maximum of opacity. So you just like slide it on your left, and more you go left and more you drop down the opacity. So I would say maybe 33% is cool, but it's really up to you. You can stay at 40% if you think it's better for you, but in my case I usually like to stay around 30%. Okay, so for the inks, remember on the plus button here I open a new layer. Then of course I'm not gonna keep the blue color, but by going through your palette you choose the black color around here on the bottom of your color palette. And for the pen, I think I'm gonna choose the studio pen as usual. Okay, so now before we start the inks, you need to ask yourself, but okay, where the shadow or where the light's coming from. You can decide yourself. I guess let's say that in this drawing the light's coming from this way. So if the light's coming this way, which just means the outline here will be thinner. If the shadow coming this way, the outline will be thicker. So before you ink, you need to determine yourself, need to choose yourself where the light and the shadow is coming from. Like this, you can have this dimension fill by drawing like thicker and thinner line on your design, what gives you more values and a more good look to it. Okay guys, so let's start with it, and let's say let's start on this part. So we're gonna draw more thinner, so I think on 11% is completely fine. So let's start guys. Okay, I'm gonna start to draw, to outline here like that. Then here, okay, right. Just make sure every time your line are well connected, that there is no gap, otherwise when you're gonna color drop, it's gonna fill up the whole canvas. On this side, now, see what I did? I think this part will be a bit shading, so you just press a little harder and you end up on the other side a little thinner. I know like it's not easy, but it takes practice. Just practice every day, and as many times as you can, and you will definitely improve it. So like this. Now I'm just going to connect both lines here. I think before the trace here, I want to make these eyes first. So I'm going thinner here and thicker the other side. Right. Okay. The nose, both ones. Okay, for the tooth. Gonna make something maybe kind of crack here. as I said, when you ink, you don't have to trace exactly on the top of your sketch layer. The sketch layer is just a guide, so you're free to do, maybe to do a bigger tooth or bigger part here. You're free to do everything you want, so you don't have to worry to trace right on top of it. And this probably I want to make something else, so I can decide to make it. So I'm gonna draw something like that. See, I didn't exactly trace here because I decided at the last moment to do a bigger down part of the head. So now I'm going to connect those ones. Okay. I'm going to start to connect here and right, first part are well connected. So on this side, I'm going to draw pupils locked in. Doesn't fill up everything, so just do it by hands. Okay. The other one as well. Connect both parts. Now for the top of the shell, I'm gonna go thinner here and thicker on the other side. So I'm gonna start. Oops, I'm gonna start like this. Yes. See those both outlines? One is thicker, one is thinner. Okay. Now for this part. You can do something like that. I repeat it again. Like this, like a bounding, and like this. And you curving like this. Yep. And I swear, guys, with practice, with a line weight, different line weights, it just takes practice. So don't get frustrated for not succeeding at the first time. It really takes practice. Even myself is still practicing, so you don't have to be worried. It's kind of be thicker, thinner, thicker, thinner, and I repeat the same process. Thicker, thinner, thicker, thinner. Yes. And the same here. Thinner, thicker, thinner, thicker, thinner, thicker, thinner, thicker. And let's connect. So now even with texturing, I put like different line weights here. It's okay, you don't have to worry about different line weights. It's just a texture. Right. So now ink is pretty much done. So what now we can do is to take off our sketch layer, and now we have a better visibility. And what you can do is just add a little bit more details and elements to it, like ovals, as I like to do in my designs. Something like this, not too much details, but less flat. Yes, like this. Here as well. and see it gives already more values to your design, definitely. Maybe here we can make some. See, I rotate it like this, and I have a very good inclination, right angle to do it this way, on this floor, in this direction. Okay. Let's add some. Let's zoom out and add some dots. It's like a fold here, locked in. Right. Oops, see, I have a gap, so I make sure I connect everything. Just check before I put my cutter. Always make sure to check that you don't have a gap somewhere. It happens so many times to me. Just make sure to check it out before you go on a cutter stage. Okay, I drop it up. You can even give some backside lift like this and put it in a dark and just drop it like this. It makes a very nice feels of back shading grass, and I really like to do it. Even like that gives more dimension to your designs, to the feel. Right. Okay. One thing I want to do before we start the color is I press with a finger, and you already selected directly to your palette, and we can add a little few smaller ones inside. Okay, so now let's start our color. Let's start our color stage. For the color, what we're gonna do is we go to the plus button, you add a new layer, and remember always go under the reference layer, and the sketch layer will be on the most bottom layer, so we don't have to be worried anymore on the sketch layer. So now, not to getting confused, you can always rename it here. You go to your keyboard and you tap color layer. Oops, I missed a C. Color layer. Okay, so now we have a color layer. Let's choose a color for this little guy. And I just see I missed the part here. See? I'm still making mistakes about it. Okay, now I think we're fine. So back to the color layer. So I will say for this guy, let's can I choose of green? Maybe I want to try with a very flashy fluorescent green. Maybe something like that. Yes, okay. I think it kind of looks cool here as well on the, or maybe a bit darker here. Yes, let's make it a bit darker. You drop it, and you can with a finger do this manipulation and get the same color that you want, and you drop it like this. So now remember, if you want to win some time, you can do like this as I did, continue filling, and you just have to target where you want to fill up on your design. That's it, and you're back here, and it's off. Okay, so now for the shell, let's make maybe kind of yellow, like brown colors. So I'm drawing it like this, and you see, remember and make sure threshold 20, and I go about 35%. In this case it's cool. There is no gap between. Sometimes there's a white line here, which is means it's not very filled up very well, so you can use the threshold up to 99% to fit it in very fully. Okay, so for the this section, I want to choose like a white cream, like this, light brown cream color. So to avoid every time to do the same thing, remember, I do it again, you go to continue filling and you just have to target, and you won't so much time. It's a time saver. For the grass, I have already the green here on the main part of the character, so I'm going to choose a very lighter green for the grass. I think it should be okay like that. Yes, okay. Now what you can do is you can have a better visualization. You can take off the background color and see, and you can fill up the design. If you want to put the white eyes to it, continue filling, and okay, doing this. So now for the rest, probably forget here to drop it, this section too. For the dots, let's say maybe take this color and put it here like this. Yes. Okay. And I think for this green, we choose this green and maybe make it darker here. And again, continue filling, and now I can just fill up where I want to fill up. Oops. Okay. And on the top section of the head as well. Okay. Oops, I have a bug, guys. Oh. No, it's okay. Okay, sorry, I have a little bug. It happens. Okay, now our design is done. So back to background color. So now this is our main point. Let's use the shading. So for the shading and highlights, what we need to do first is we need to open, of course, a separate layer above it. So we stay above the color layer always. So I can rename it shading. So first the shading, and we can open another layer for the highlights, which will be both in separate layer. Okay, so for the shading on this section, on the right section, we don't have to choose the black, but we can choose a darker color, even purple, and you can try with it as well. Or you can choose a very, like, maybe dark green also, but let's try with a darker blue like this. So for it, I'm gonna open a little bit. I'm gonna scale up a little bit more, about 17%. So I'm gonna start to draw of a shade here on this side. But for that, before to do it, make sure to clipping mask. Remember, that was my previous video and I talked about clipping mask. So clip it like this, you don't have to worry to get outside the design. So let's start to do the shading. So for reshading, let's say that it's gonna come this way on this part. Now this way. For the eyes as well, it's gonna come right to here. I'm just coloring like this. Okay, like that. For the other side, I'm gonna draw it here as well. Right, it looks a bit weird, it's too dark, but you see after that we're gonna reduce the opacity, which changes drastically. So this one's, yes, something curving like this. See, I don't have to be worried to go out with design, which is very comfortable to work with Procreate for that. And here, let's say, okay, we can start adding now. We can start reduce opacity. See, it's kind of magical, guys. Let's say at 23%. It's cool, right? So let's bring this part. It's pretty much really up to your sense where to put the shading. I know it's not something very precise, but just approximatively can do it. Just it's kind of guessing where the shading comes. For the tooth, I'm gonna make it here, underneath as well. Okay. Right. On the top here, let's connect here as well. For the shell, let's connect this part actually. If you want the coloring faster, you can increase your brush size. Okay, guys. Right. Here is gonna come the highlights, so I guess under this curve can put shadings. Here as well, okay. So now on the neck, the back side of the neck, Okay. Cool. For the grass, let's say for the grass, let's come here where we drew previously our thicker lines. You see my brush, I didn't change it at 54%. And you just follow along and you don't have to be worried to go outside the design. Right. Cool. Okay, for reshading, guys. So now, let's add maybe something like that. So now, for the highlights, let's add a new layer. Let's say maybe we put here. It doesn't matter if you stay here or underneath, but I usually like to put underneath. So for the highlights, let's choose a very white color. So for highlights, it's going to be on this section, right on this left part. So to start, I'm going to start from the eyes. See, you actually, when you do shading and highlight, you always follow along the dynamic of the design, the curves, and all the forms that you see. Just it's kind of following things pretty much. So, see, you just follow the right, on the right, the same flow. And here you can go thinner at the end. Like that. For this part, let's say first we draw a big section here. We start with like thicker, like big portion of light here, and just ended up very thinner. Like this as well. You can draw like this. As well here. Let's stay on the background transparency and see now you can also play with opacity. So I guess we can stay at 72% for the lights, for the highlights, sorry. And see, you can make on a dot as well, on the cheeks, kind of light here on the grass. Make something like this. And on this part, I'm going to draw a big section. Mainly here, see, I just follow on the same curve. So I kind of repeat the process. You go thicker first, and you go a bit slimmer at the end. Like this. And here, yes, here we go. All right, and we can go along here in some parts. Okay. What about here as well? You can. Right, pretty much done, guys. Okay, so what we do now, we put our highlights, but the other things you can do here, for example, if you want to give more depth to it, let's go back to our shading and stay maybe at 24%. You rotate it like this because you have better inclination. You can also erase a little bit here. See, and it gives very nice feel and dimensions. You can even add kind of some dots. You can do it here as well on this section, and you can go thinner here on this part. Yeah, here we go. And on this part too, you can go thicker at the end, and you can go slimmer. Yes. Here as well, go thicker and you go thinner. And you repeat the same process, maybe here, like this. You can add some dots. Don't hesitate to zoom out, and you're doing this, so it's very important. Okay, guys, that's it. We pretty much finished our shading and highlights. You can do some of the eyes here, and also a couple of dots, and okay, very thin here as there's not much space. Okay, now back to our background, and I guess we can erase, go back to our reference and erase this. It was just to kind of indicate you where you can put your shading and highlights. So, right, for the background now, I'm going to open a new layer, and I'm going to place it right underneath. So, as I said last time, the predominant color on this design is the green, right? So with your finger, you choose it, you select it, you go to harmony, and you can identify the color can fit to it. So in this case, in complementary color, it will be the pink. So select it, and you just drop it. And that's, wow, you have a very cool design. It's popping up, guys, cool like this. So this is the trick, the tip, like to do it. If you want to add some outline, you can add some white line. So you open a new layer, you stay under the color layer, you go to white, and you can start outlining around if you want. I think it's very fun. I really like to outline my design, as you noticed. It's kind of remind me of stickers, something. So I really like to do it. Still practicing. Right, for a nice and clean outlines. So you don't have to worry to over this layer as it is underneath, kind of the bottom one layer, so very easy to do it. So for it, I just do it like this. Yes, and I lock in. Right, guys. Okay. Now we have our design finish with our friendly looking snail. That's it for today. I hope you really like this new tutorial about how to use shading and highlights, how to determine it, to place it. I hope you like also the process from scratch to the final designs, and hope you also will draw it all along while you were watching this video. So thank you very much for everyone, and I hope my channel will keep growing, and thank you for all your support on the groups on Facebook and everything. So that's it for today. I will keep you updated for next tutorial, guys. Thank you very much and keep creating. Bye.